Marcus Chen hasn't slept in a real bed for 8 months, but tonight he lies awake on a park bench anyway, staring at the stars through the bare branches of winter oak trees. The cardboard beneath him does little to block the December cold seeping up from the concrete, and his stomach growls with the familiar ache of another day with only one small meal. Tomorrow will mark 9 months since the factory closure that cost him his job, his apartment, and eventually his dignity. But what keeps him awake isn't the cold or the hunger. It's the memory of his daughter's voice on the phone 3 days ago, telling him she's getting married next summer and asking if he'll be there to walk her down the aisle. The question she didn't ask, but that hung in the silence between them, was whether he'd still be living on the streets by then. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning alarm comes courtesy of a garbage truck rumbling past Riverside Park at 5:30, just as it has every day for the past 3 weeks. Marcus sits up slowly, his back protesting against the night spent on unforgiving concrete. The December air bites at his exposed skin, and frost covers the sparse grass around his bench like a thin blanket of broken glass. He folds the cardboard that served as his mattress, tucking it behind the bench for tonight's use. In the world of homelessness, even trash becomes precious, and a piece of clean cardboard represents the difference between sleep and sleepless misery. At 42, Marcus carries himself with the careful dignity of a man determined not to let circumstances define his worth. His clothes are worn but clean, washed in public restroom sinks, and dried over heating grates when possible. His graying hair is kept neat, with a pocket comb he's managed to hold on to through 8 months of loss, and his face still shows traces of the confidence that once made him a respected shift supervisor at Portland Electronics Manufacturing. That confidence has taken a beating along with everything else, but it hasn't disappeared entirely. Some mornings, like this one, he can still feel it stirring beneath the layers of exhaustion and worry. The walk from Riverside Park to downtown Portland takes Marcus past the life he used to know. Suburban houses with warm lights and kitchen windows, driveways where people load coffee cups and briefcases into cars before heading to jobs that provide paychecks and purpose. He doesn't walk these streets out of nostalgia or self-pity, but because they connect to the industrial district where day labor opportunities sometimes materialize. Construction crews looking for extra hands, moving companies needing help with heavy loads, warehouse supervisors willing to pay cash for a day's work without asking too many questions about permanent addresses. The temp agency office opens at 7, and Marcus knows from experience that arriving early means better chances of finding work. The competition for day labor is fierce among Portland's homeless population, and jobs that pay enough to cover a hot meal and maybe a cheap motel room for the night go quickly. Marcus has advantages that many of his street companions lack. His experience with machinery and electronics, his ability to read blueprints and follow complex instructions, his reputation among the temp agencies as reliable and hardworking. These skills have kept him from the complete desperation that consumes people who've been homeless longer, but they haven't been enough to lift him back into stable housing. The irony isn't lost on him that the same factory skills that once provided middle-class security now qualify him for minimum-wage day labor. Portland Electronics Manufacturing had employed him for 14 years, promoting him from assembly line worker to shift supervisor based on his mechanical aptitude and leadership abilities. He'd specialized in repairing sophisticated electronic equipment, troubleshooting complex systems, and training new employees in precision assembly techniques. When the company announced they were moving operations to Mexico, Marcus had 2 months' notice and 14 years of experience that turned out to be worthless in a job market that wanted younger workers with different skills. The unemployment benefits lasted 6 months. His savings lasted another month after that. The apartment he'd called home for 8 years became unaffordable when the only jobs he could find paid half what he'd made at the factory. Moving in with his daughter wasn't an option. She lived in a studio apartment in Seattle, struggling to pay her own bills while finishing graduate school. His ex-wife had remarried and made it clear that his problems weren't welcome in her new life. The social safety net that's supposed to catch people during temporary setbacks proved to have holes large enough for a man to fall through entirely. By the time Marcus reaches the temp agency, a small crowd has already gathered outside the still-locked doors. He recognizes most of the faces. Rico, the former restaurant cook whose arthritis makes kitchen work impossible. Janet, the middle-aged accountant whose company downsized her position and whose age makes finding new work nearly impossible. Tommy, the veteran whose PTSD episodes have cost him every job he's managed to find. They nod at each other with the grim camaraderie of people sharing an unwanted fate, but conversation stays minimal. Everyone knows they're competing for the same limited opportunities. The agency supervisor, a tired-looking woman named Carol who seems to genuinely care about the people she tries to place, opens the doors at exactly 7 o'clock. Her expression this morning suggests the news won't be good, and Marcus feels his stomach clench with disappointment before she even speaks. Only 3 jobs available today, she announces to the crowd of 15 hopefuls. A moving company needs 2 strong backs for furniture transport, and a catering company needs 1 person with food service experience for event setup. Marcus doesn't qualify for the catering position, and the moving jobs go to younger men whose backs haven't been aged by years of factory work and months of sleeping on park benches. He accepts Carol's sympathetic smile and the promise that tomorrow might bring better opportunities, then steps back onto the street to face another day without income. The $10 in his pocket, earned yesterday helping an elderly woman move boxes from her basement, needs to stretch to cover food until the next opportunity arises. The downtown area where Marcus finds himself offers both opportunities and dangers for the homeless. Public spaces provide temporary shelter and access to restrooms, but they also attract police attention and sometimes hostile reactions from business owners who view homeless people as bad for their establishments. Marcus has learned to navigate these spaces carefully, maintaining his dignity while avoiding confrontation. He's discovered which coffee shops will let him sit for an hour with a single small purchase, which libraries welcome quiet patrons regardless of their housing status, and which parks have the cleanest restrooms and safest sleeping spots. Walking past the upscale restaurants and boutique shops of the Pearl District, Marcus tries not to think about the meals being prepared behind those windows or the comfortable lives being lived in the loft apartments above the shops. Envy is a luxury he can't afford, and resentment only makes the daily struggle harder. Instead, he focuses on immediate needs, finding enough work to earn money for food, locating a safe place to spend the night, maintaining the basic hygiene that keeps him presentable enough for employment opportunities. The sound of mechanical trouble catches his attention as he passes through the food truck pod on Southeast Morrison. A bright yellow truck with Sophia's Kitchen painted in cheerful red letters sits silent while its owner, a young woman in chef's whites, stares at the engine compartment with obvious frustration. Steam rises from somewhere deep in. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The machinery and the acrid smell of overheated metal suggests a problem more serious than a simple mechanical adjustment. Marcus pauses, his factory-trained instincts automatically analyzing the sounds and smells emanating from the disabled truck. The woman appears to be in her late 20s, with dark hair pulled back in a professional bun and the kind of focused intensity that suggests she takes her business seriously. Her chef's coat is immaculate despite the mechanical crisis, and her movements around the truck show the efficiency of someone accustomed to working under pressure. She pulls out a cell phone, presumably to call for help, then puts it away with a gesture of frustration that suggests the options aren't good. Most people would walk past this scene without getting involved. The homeless learn quickly that offering help often leads to suspicion or outright hostility, regardless of good intentions. Business owners especially tend to view homeless assistance with skepticism, worried about theft or scams. But Marcus has never been able to ignore someone struggling with mechanical problems, particularly when his experience suggests he might be able to help. The habit of fixing things runs too deep to suppress, even when self-preservation argues for walking away. He approaches the truck carefully, stopping at a respectful distance before speaking. The woman looks up from her phone with wariness that immediately softens when she sees his non-threatening posture and genuine expression of concern. Her eyes take in his worn clothes and obvious homeless status, but her expression remains neutral rather than dismissive. This reaction surprises Marcus, who has grown accustomed to people either ignoring him entirely or actively avoiding contact. "Excuse me," Marcus says, his voice carrying the polite formality he's maintained despite months of street life. "I couldn't help but notice you're having engine trouble. I have some experience with mechanical repairs, and I wonder if you'd like me to take a look. Sometimes these problems are simpler than they appear, and I might be able to help you get running again." The woman studies him for a moment, and Marcus can see her weighing the risks of accepting help from a stranger against her obvious need to get her business operational. Her food truck represents her livelihood, and every hour it sits broken means lost income and disappointed customers. The lunch rush will begin in less than 3 hours, and calling a professional mechanic might mean missing the entire day's revenue. "I'm Sophia," she says finally, extending a hand that Marcus shakes with the firm grip he learned in business settings years ago. "This truck is basically my entire world right now, and I'm supposed to serve lunch to about 200 people today. My usual mechanic can't get here until this afternoon, which means I lose my best day of the week. If you really think you might be able to help, I'd be incredibly grateful." The trust implicit in her words touches something in Marcus that he'd thought the streets had numbed. When someone loses their home and their place in society, they often lose the sense that their skills and knowledge have value. People stop asking for their help or trusting their judgment. Sophia's willingness to accept assistance from a homeless man represents more than just practical necessity. It's an acknowledgement of his fundamental humanity and competence. Marcus nods and approaches the engine compartment, immediately noting details that confirm his initial assessment. The overheating appears to be related to a coolant system failure, probably a burst hose or faulty radiator connection. The symptoms are classic, and the repair should be straightforward if the necessary parts are available. He explains his diagnosis to Sophia, pointing out the evidence that supports his conclusion and outlining the steps needed to verify and fix the problem. Sophia listens with the attention of someone who understands that knowledge comes in many forms and that expertise doesn't always wear expensive clothes. Her questions show genuine interest in learning about her equipment, and her gratitude feels authentic rather than condescending. When Marcus confirms that the problem is indeed a burst coolant hose, Sophia immediately offers to pay for both the replacement part and his labor. The nearest auto parts store is 6 blocks away, and Sophia insists on driving Marcus there in her personal car rather than letting him walk. The gesture represents another small act of trust that means more to Marcus than she probably realizes. During the drive, they talk about the food truck business, and Marcus learns that Sophia has been operating independently for only 8 months. Her menu focuses on fusion cuisine that combines traditional Italian recipes with Pacific Northwest ingredients, and her customer base has been growing steadily, despite the competitive Portland food scene. The auto parts store clerk recognizes Sophia from previous visits and greets her with the familiarity of someone who knows the food truck owners depend on quick service to stay profitable. When Sophia explains the situation and introduces Marcus as the person helping with repairs, the clerk accepts the recommendation without question. Marcus selects the correct hose replacement along with additional coolant and the tools needed for the repair, estimating that the total fix will take about an hour once they return to the truck. Back at the food truck pod, Marcus works with the methodical precision that made him valuable at the electronics factory. He drains the coolant system, removes the damaged hose, and installs the replacement with professional efficiency. Sophia watches the process with interest, asking questions about maintenance procedures that might help her prevent similar problems in the future. Her attention to detail and genuine curiosity about the mechanical aspects of her business impress Marcus, who recognizes the mindset of someone committed to understanding every aspect of their operation. The repair progresses smoothly, and Marcus finds himself enjoying the familiar satisfaction of diagnosing and solving a mechanical problem. His hands remember the precise movements needed for efficient work, and his mind automatically calculates the steps needed to complete the job properly. For the first time in months, he feels like himself again, competent, useful, and capable of contributing something valuable to someone else's success. When the engine starts smoothly and the temperature gauge shows normal operation, Sophia's relief and gratitude are immediately apparent. She insists on paying Marcus twice what he asked for the labor, explaining that his repair saved her from losing hundreds of dollars in revenue. More importantly, she asks if he'd be willing to help with regular maintenance on the truck, suggesting that his mechanical skills could provide him with steady part-time income. The offer represents exactly the kind of opportunity Marcus has been hoping for: work that utilizes his skills, pays reasonably well, and might lead to more stable employment. Sophia explains that food truck ownership involves constant mechanical challenges. and having someone reliable to handle repairs and maintenance would be invaluable for her business. She suggests starting with a trial arrangement where Marcus would be on call for emergency repairs and scheduled maintenance, with pay based on actual work performed. Marcus accepts the arrangement gratefully, exchanging contact information despite his lack of permanent address. Sophia suggests that he can receive messages through the temp agency or at the downtown library, both of which offer communication services for people in transitional situations. They agree to start the following week with a comprehensive maintenance check of all the truck systems, giving Marcus his first steady work prospect since losing his factory job. As Sophia prepares for the lunch rush, Marcus prepares to leave, but she stops him with an unexpected invitation. She's making extra food for lunch and invites him to stay and eat, explaining that anyone who saves her business deserves a proper meal. The offer touches Marcus deeply, not just because he's hungry, but because it represents inclusion rather than charity. Sophia treats him as someone who has earned consideration through his contribution, not as someone who needs pity. The lunch Sophia prepares showcases the fusion cuisine that has made her truck popular with Portland food enthusiasts. Her signature dish combines house-made pasta with locally sourced mushrooms and herbs, creating flavors that reflect both her Italian heritage and her Pacific Northwest location. Marcus hasn't tasted food this sophisticated since before his homelessness began, and the meal reminds him of the dinner parties he used to attend when his life included social connections and discretionary income. During lunch, Sophia shares more about her background and ambitions. She graduated from culinary school 3 years ago and worked in established restaurants before deciding to start her own business. The food truck represents her first step toward eventually opening a full restaurant, and she's been building her reputation and saving money toward that larger goal. Her passion for cooking and business ownership shines through every word, and Marcus finds himself genuinely interested in her success. Sophia also asks about Marcus's background, and he finds himself sharing more personal information than he has with anyone since becoming homeless. He talks about his factory career, his daughter's upcoming wedding, and his struggle to rebuild his life after losing everything. Sophia listens without judgment, asking thoughtful questions that show genuine interest rather than mere politeness. Her acceptance of his situation feels natural rather than forced, and Marcus begins to understand that he's encountered someone unusually open to seeing past surface appearances. The lunch rush brings a steady stream of customers who clearly appreciate Sophia's food and friendly service. Marcus watches her work with admiration for her efficiency and professionalism. She handles orders, manages cooking, and maintains conversation with customers simultaneously, demonstrating the multitasking skills essential for successful food truck operation. Several regular customers comment on the truck's mechanical troubles that morning, expressing relief that Sophia was able to get operational in time for lunch. When a customer's order requires a minor equipment adjustment, Marcus automatically steps forward to help, his mechanical instincts overriding his status as a guest. Sophia accepts his assistance naturally, and the customer doesn't seem to notice or care about Marcus's obvious homeless condition. For the duration of the lunch service, Marcus feels like part of a working team, rather than someone existing on society's margins. After the lunch rush ends and the customers disperse, Sophia begins cleaning her equipment and preparing to close for the day. She works with the same methodical precision Marcus applies to mechanical repairs, demonstrating that excellence in any field requires attention to detail and commitment to quality. Marcus offers to help with cleanup, and Sophia accepts gratefully, explaining that food truck operation involves far more cleaning and maintenance than most people realize. As they work together, Sophia mentions that she's been struggling to find reliable help with the non-culinary aspects of food truck operation. Beyond the mechanical maintenance Marcus has already offered to provide, she needs assistance with daily setup and breakdown, equipment cleaning, and inventory management. The tasks don't require specialized skills, but they do require reliability and attention to detail. Sophia suggests that Marcus might be interested in additional part-time work, helping with these operational aspects. The possibility of expanded employment opportunities excites Marcus more than he's comfortable expressing. Steady work, even part-time, could provide the financial foundation needed to move from street homelessness to more stable housing. More importantly, the work would utilize his organizational and mechanical skills while providing the sense of purpose that unemployment has stolen from him. He agrees to discuss the arrangement further, suggesting they start with the mechanical maintenance and see how the partnership develops. Before leaving, Sophia insists on packing additional food for Marcus to take with him, explaining that she always prepares more than she needs and prefers sharing surplus rather than discarding it. The gesture represents practical generosity rather than condescending charity, and Marcus accepts gratefully. The additional meals will significantly improve his nutrition for the next few days, allowing him to focus energy on finding other work opportunities rather than spending time and money on food. Walking back toward downtown with Sophia's business card in his pocket and her leftover food in a bag, Marcus feels something he hasn't experienced since losing his home: optimism about the future. The mechanical repair that started as a simple offer to help has evolved into potential steady employment and the beginning of what might become genuine friendship. Sophia's acceptance of his skills and humanity has reminded him that his value as a person isn't determined by his housing status. The December afternoon brings gray skies and the promise of rain, but Marcus feels warmer than he has in weeks. The food truck repair represents more than just earning money or finding work. It represents the possibility of rebuilding connections with people who see his potential rather than just his circumstances. For the first time since becoming homeless, Marcus allows himself to imagine walking his daughter down the aisle next summer as someone who has reclaimed stability and dignity. The evening routine of finding a safe place to sleep and protecting his few possessions feels less desperate tonight. The prospect of steady work with Sophia provides hope that the park bench and cardboard mattress might be temporary rather than permanent features of his life. Marcus has learned not to expect too much too quickly, but he also knows that every positive change begins with a single opportunity. Today's broken food truck might represent the beginning of fixing his broken life. As he settles onto his familiar park bench, with Sophia's leftover pasta providing warmth in his stomach, Marcus thinks about the unexpected turns that life can take. This morning, he woke up as just another unemployed homeless man competing for day labor. Tonight, he falls asleep as someone with mechanical skills that are valued, work opportunities that could provide stability, and the beginning of a professional relationship that treats him with dignity. The transformation required nothing more than being willing to offer help when someone needed it, but the results might change everything about his future. The stars shine through the bare oak branches above his bench, and for the first time in months, Marcus looks at them with hope rather than despair. Tomorrow will bring another early morning and the continued challenge of rebuilding his life. But now those challenges include real possibilities, rather than just desperate scrambling for survival. The broken food truck has been repaired, and perhaps his broken life can be repaired as well. 3 weeks later, Marcus has established a routine that feels remarkably similar to having a real job. Every Tuesday and Friday, he performs maintenance checks on Sophia's truck, ensuring that all systems operate efficiently and addressing minor issues before they become major problems. On busy days, particularly when weather is good and food truck traffic is heavy, he helps with setup and breakdown procedures that allow Sophia to focus entirely on food preparation and customer service. The arrangement has evolved naturally into steady part-time employment that provides both income and purpose. The work itself utilizes skills Marcus developed during his factory career, while introducing him to new challenges specific to mobile food service. Food trucks operate under conditions that stress equipment differently than stationary installations, and the combination of vibration, temperature changes, and constant operation creates unique maintenance requirements. Marcus has adapted his troubleshooting approach to account for these factors, and his success rate in preventing equipment failures has impressed Sophia enough that she's recommended his services to other food truck operators in the pod. Word travels quickly in Portland's food truck community, and Marcus has begun receiving calls from other operators who need mechanical assistance. The additional work provides supplemental income and reinforces his growing reputation as someone reliable and competent. More importantly, it offers hope that his mechanical skills might eventually provide enough steady work to support independent housing and genuine economic stability. The social aspects of working in the food truck environment have proven as valuable as the financial benefits. Sophia treats Marcus as a respected colleague rather than someone receiving charity, and her regular customers have begun recognizing him as part of the operation. Several people have asked about his background and expressed genuine interest in his success, creating social connections that homelessness had eliminated from his life. The sense of belonging to a working community has restored confidence that Marcus thought was permanently lost. Sophia herself has become more than just an employer. She's become a friend who genuinely cares about Marcus's welfare and future prospects. Their conversations during work have revealed shared interests in cooking, travel, and books, creating personal connections that extend beyond their professional relationship. Sophia's acceptance of his homelessness as a temporary circumstance rather than a character flaw has helped Marcus maintain hope that his situation can improve. The financial stability provided by regular work has already produced tangible improvements in Marcus's daily life. He's been able to afford occasional nights in budget motels, providing access to showers and real beds that help maintain the physical health and professional appearance necessary for continued employment. Regular meals have improved his energy and concentration, making him more effective in both his work and his ongoing search for additional opportunities. Most importantly, steady income has allowed him to start saving small amounts toward the deposits required for permanent housing. Marcus has also used his improved circumstances to reconnect with his daughter, calling her from the downtown library to share news about his work with Sophia and his hopes for the future. Their conversation revealed that she's been worried about his welfare but hadn't known how to help from her location in Seattle. Learning that he's found steady work and is beginning to rebuild his life has relieved her anxiety and allowed their relationship to return to its previous warmth. She's even suggested that if his situation continues improving, she might be able to help with the security deposit for an apartment. The prospect of walking his daughter down the aisle next summer no longer seems impossible. With continued steady work and careful saving, Marcus believes he can achieve stable housing and appropriate clothing in time for the wedding. More importantly, he's beginning to feel like someone his daughter can be proud to introduce to her new husband and his family. The shame and embarrassment that characterized his early months of homelessness have been replaced by cautious optimism about reclaiming his place in normal society. However, Marcus has also learned not to take his improved circumstances for granted. The line between housed and homeless remains thin for someone without significant savings or family support, and he knows that a single setback could quickly return him to sleeping on park benches. He's careful to maintain relationships with the temp agencies and other day labor sources that provided survival income before Sophia's offer, understanding that diversified income sources provide security that dependence on a single employer cannot guarantee. The December weather has turned particularly harsh, with temperatures dropping below freezing most nights and occasional snow making outdoor sleeping dangerous. Marcus has been able to afford motel rooms on the coldest nights, but he still spends most evenings on his familiar park bench or in the heated waiting areas of public buildings. The physical discomfort serves as motivation to continue working toward permanent housing, while reminding him of how quickly circumstances can change for people living on economic margins. Sophia has begun hinting that she might be able to offer Marcus additional responsibilities that would come with increased income and more regular hours. Her food truck business has grown significantly since the mechanical reliability improvements Marcus provided, and she's considering expanding her operation to include catering services and possibly a second truck. The expansion would require someone trustworthy to help manage operational details, while Sophia focuses on cooking and customer service. Marcus tries not to hope too much, but the possibility represents exactly the kind of opportunity that could provide real economic stability. The other food truck operators in the pod have also begun treating Marcus as a valued member of their informal community. They include him in conversations about industry trends and business challenges, seek his advice on mechanical issues, and sometimes offer him surplus food at the end of successful days. The acceptance feels natural rather than forced, suggesting that his competence and reliability have earned genuine respect rather than mere sympathy. On particularly busy days, Marcus has begun helping Sophia with food preparation tasks that don't require culinary training, chopping vegetables, organizing ingredients, and managing inventory. The work provides insight into the complexity of food truck operation and reinforces his appreciation for Sophia's skills as both a chef and a business operator. More importantly, it demonstrates that his contributions extend beyond mechanical maintenance to include operational support that directly improves Sophia's efficiency and profitability. The routine of regular work has also restored Marcus's sense of time and purpose that homelessness had disrupted. Instead of each day being an identical struggle for basic survival, his days now have structure, goals, and the satisfaction that comes from contributing to someone else's success. The alarm clock he purchased with his first earnings from Sophia provides wake-up calls for work rather than just the arbitrary passage of time, and his schedule includes planned activities rather than just responses to immediate needs. Marcus has even begun considering longer-term goals beyond immediate housing stability. His experience with food truck mechanics has sparked interest in possibly starting his own mobile equipment repair service, specializing in the kind of emergency fixes that food truck operators need quickly and reliably. The idea remains tentative, but having any kind of business aspirations feels remarkable after months of focusing entirely on day-to-day survival. The transformation in his daily experience has been profound enough that Marcus sometimes has difficulty remembering the depths of despair he felt during his early months of homelessness. The man who wakes up each morning with work to do and income to earn feels fundamentally different from the man who spent August sleeping in doorways and competing desperately for day labor opportunities. The change demonstrates how quickly life can improve when the right opportunity meets adequate preparation and genuine effort. Still, Marcus remains aware that his situation, while dramatically improved, remains precarious. He lacks the savings, credit history, and social connections that provide real security for housed people, and his entire improved circumstance depends on Sophia's continued business success and their continued working relationship. The vulnerability creates ongoing anxiety that motivates continued careful behavior and prevents him from taking his progress for granted. The approaching end of December brings both hope and uncertainty. Sophia has mentioned that January typically represents a slow period for food truck business, as people focus on post-holiday saving and New Year's resolutions that often exclude restaurant meals. The seasonal downturn could reduce Marcus's work hours and income just as he's beginning to save toward permanent housing. However, Sophia has also suggested that the winter months might provide an opportunity to focus on equipment upgrades and business planning that could position her truck for strong spring growth. Marcus has begun researching housing options that might be achievable with the income level his work with Sophia provides. Low-income housing programs offer possibilities for people transitioning from homelessness, though waiting lists are long and qualification requirements complex. Some landlords specialize in renting to people with limited credit history, though these options often involve higher deposits and less desirable locations. The research process itself feels hopeful, representing planning for a future that includes indoor plumbing and personal security. The holiday season has brought additional opportunities for Marcus to help Sophia with special events and catering requests that supplement her regular food truck income. Holiday parties and corporate events require setup and breakdown assistance that Marcus can provide, and the additional work has significantly boosted his earnings during a time when many homeless people struggle with increased expenses and reduced opportunities for casual labor. Sophia has also invited Marcus to join her family's Christmas celebration, explaining that her parents enjoy meeting the people who help make her business successful. The invitation represents another step toward normal social integration, though Marcus feels anxiety about meeting Sophia's family while still homeless. He's grateful for the inclusion but worried about representing Sophia's business appropriately when his personal circumstances remain obviously unstable. The mechanical work itself has become increasingly sophisticated as Marcus has learned the specific requirements and common problems of food truck operation. He's developed preventative maintenance schedules customized for Sophia's equipment and usage patterns, reducing both emergency repair costs and revenue-losing breakdowns. His success with Sophia's truck has led to referrals from other food truck operators, creating a small but growing client base for his mechanical services. Marcus has also begun teaching Sophia basic mechanical troubleshooting skills that can help her identify and address minor problems before they become major failures. The knowledge transfer represents another evolution in their working relationship, from simple service provider to trusted advisor who helps improve Sophia's overall business competence. Sophia's enthusiasm for learning mechanical basics demonstrates the mutual respect that has developed between them. The end of Marcus's third week working with Sophia coincides with her achievement of record-breaking daily sales, partly attributable to the reliability improvements his maintenance work has provided. Sophia celebrates by offering Marcus a bonus payment and suggesting that their working arrangement has become successful enough to formalize with a more structured employment agreement. The suggestion represents another step toward the kind of stable income that could support permanent housing and genuine economic independence. The January rain falls steadily on Portland's streets, turning the food truck pod into a maze of puddles and slippery pavement. Marcus adjusts his second-hand rain jacket and checks his waterproof toolbox one final time before approaching Sophia's truck for their scheduled maintenance session. The winter months have proven challenging for the food truck business, just as Sophia predicted, but their working relationship has grown stronger despite the seasonal downturn. Regular maintenance during the slower period has kept Sophia's equipment in pristine condition, positioning her truck for success when the spring crowds return. Sophia greets Marcus with her usual warm smile and a steaming cup of coffee, a ritual that has become one of the highlights of his week. The coffee represents more than just warmth on a cold morning. It symbolizes the respect and friendship that have developed between them over the past month. Sophia treats Marcus as a valued colleague and friend rather than someone receiving charity, and this consistent dignity has helped restore his confidence in ways that extend far beyond their professional relationship. The maintenance work today focuses on preparing Sophia's equipment for increased use as the weather improves and customer traffic returns to normal levels. Marcus performs comprehensive checks of all mechanical systems, replacing wear parts before they fail, and adjusting equipment for optimal performance. His preventative approach has eliminated the emergency breakdowns that once cost Sophia both money and customers, and her trust in his expertise has grown to the point where she often seeks his advice on equipment purchases and operational decisions. During their work together, Sophia mentions that her business accountant has been encouraging her to consider expansion opportunities that could increase her revenue and market presence. The food truck's consistent profitability and growing customer base have created a foundation for growth, and Sophia has been researching options that might include catering services, a second truck, or even a permanent restaurant location. The discussion excites Marcus because expansion would likely create additional work opportunities for him, but he tries to contain his enthusiasm and focus on providing objective advice based on his understanding of her operation. Sophia explains that her most promising expansion opportunity involves catering corporate events and private parties, which would utilize her culinary skills while generating higher profit margins than food truck sales. The catering business would require additional equipment, reliable transportation, and trustworthy staff to handle setup and service. Marcus realizes that his combination of mechanical skills and operational reliability could make him valuable for this expansion, though he's careful not to assume that Sophia's plans include him. The conversation reveals aspects of Sophia's background that she hasn't previously shared. Her family immigrated from Italy when she was young, and she grew up helping in her grandmother's restaurant in San Francisco. The food truck represents her attempt to honor traditional family recipes while building an independent business that reflects her own vision and creativity. Her parents initially opposed her decision to leave the security of working in established restaurants, but they've gradually come to support her entrepreneurial ambitions as her success has become evident. Marcus finds himself sharing more personal details about his own family history and career aspirations. His factory supervisor position had included responsibility for training new employees and coordinating maintenance schedules, skills that translate well to food service operations. He describes his satisfaction with solving complex mechanical problems and his enjoyment of working with people who share his commitment to quality and reliability. The parallel between his previous career and his current work with Sophia feels significant, suggesting that his unemployment period might represent a temporary setback rather than permanent career failure. The maintenance session extends longer than usual, as Marcus discovers several minor issues that require attention before they become serious problems. Sophia watches his work with genuine interest, asking questions about preventative maintenance principles and learning to recognize early warning signs of potential equipment failures. Her willingness to understand the mechanical aspects of her business impresses Marcus, who recognizes the difference between business owners who care only about profits and those who take pride in every aspect of their operation. When Marcus finishes the mechanical work, Sophia surprises him with an invitation to help her experiment with new menu items she's developing for the spring season. She explains that she values his palate and judgment, and that his feedback could help her refine recipes before introducing them to customers. The invitation represents another evolution in their relationship, from mechanical service provider to trusted advisor whose opinions influence business decisions. The cooking session takes place in Sophia's home kitchen, a comfortable space that reflects her Italian heritage and culinary passion. Copper pots hang from hooks above a well-used stove, and shelves display an impressive collection of herbs and spices that Sophia has gathered from specialty suppliers and her own small garden. The kitchen feels warm and welcoming in a way that makes Marcus acutely aware of how long it's been since he experienced the comfort of a real home. Sophia's cooking style combines technical precision with creative intuition, and Marcus watches with fascination as she transforms simple ingredients into complex, flavorful dishes. She explains her techniques as she works, sharing family traditions and professional knowledge with the enthusiasm of someone who genuinely loves her craft. The new menu items she's developing showcase seasonal ingredients and innovative combinations that could distinguish her truck from competitors when the busy season returns. Marcus tastes each dish thoughtfully, offering honest feedback about flavors, textures, and presentation. His comments prove more valuable than Sophia expected, particularly his observations about how certain dishes might work in the fast-paced environment of food truck service. His factory experience with efficiency and workflow translates surprisingly well to food service operations, and Sophia begins asking for his input on operational aspects of menu planning beyond just taste preferences. The afternoon cooking session stretches into evening as Sophia becomes excited about the creative possibilities Marcus's feedback opens. They work together to modify recipes for food truck preparation, discussing equipment requirements and service timing that could make complex dishes practical for mobile operations. Marcus finds himself genuinely excited about contributing to Sophia's business development in ways that extend far beyond mechanical maintenance. As they clean up the kitchen together, Sophia mentions that she's been selected to participate in Portland's premier food festival next month, an opportunity that could significantly increase her visibility and customer base. The festival requires vendors to serve large volumes quickly while maintaining high-quality standards, exactly the kind of challenge where Marcus's operational insights could prove valuable. Sophia asks if he'd be willing to help with festival preparation and service, explaining that the event could represent a major breakthrough for her business. The festival opportunity represents exactly the kind of work Marcus has been hoping for, skilled labor that utilizes his abilities while contributing to something meaningful. He accepts eagerly, though he's careful to discuss practical details like compensation and scheduling that reflect his continuing need for reliable income. Sophia's willingness to include him in such an important business opportunity demonstrates a level of trust and respect that feels remarkable given his homeless status. During the drive back to downtown Portland, Sophia and Marcus discuss the logistics of festival preparation and the potential impact on her business if the event proves successful. Sophia explains that strong festival performance could lead to catering contracts, media attention, and the kind of customer base growth that might support expansion to a second truck or permanent location. The possibilities excite both of them, though Marcus tries to temper his enthusiasm with realistic expectations about his role in Sophia's future plans. Sophia drops Marcus off at the downtown library, where he's begun spending evenings when the weather makes outdoor sleeping particularly uncomfortable. The library provides warmth, internet access for job searching, and a peaceful environment where he can read and think about his improving circumstances. The librarians have come to recognize him as a regular patron, and their acceptance of his presence represents another small victory in his effort to maintain dignity and social connections, despite his housing situation. The evening routine at the library includes checking email on the public computers and researching housing options that might become affordable if his income continues to grow. Marcus has begun saving small amounts each week, building toward the deposits and first month's rent that permanent housing requires. The process feels slow and uncertain, but the steady accumulation of funds represents tangible progress toward stability. Marcus also uses library time to research food service industry trends and business practices that could help him provide better support for Sophia's operation. His understanding of her business challenges and opportunities has grown significantly through their working relationship, and he wants to continue developing expertise that makes him valuable as both a mechanic and operational advisor. The research feeds his growing interest in the food service industry and his appreciation for the complexity of successful restaurant operation. The homeless shelter, where Marcus sometimes spends extremely cold nights, has become less necessary as his income has improved, but he maintains relationships with staff and other residents who provided support during his most difficult months. Many people he met during his early homeless period remain trapped in cycles of unemployment and substance abuse, and Marcus feels both grateful for his improved circumstances and guilty about leaving others behind. His conversations with other homeless individuals have reinforced his understanding of how quickly circumstances can change for people living on economic margins. Job loss, medical emergencies, family crises, or substance abuse problems can rapidly transform housed people into homeless people. While the complex requirements for accessing social services often prevent quick recovery, Marcus's success with Sophia represents an unusual combination of opportunity, skills, and personal stability that many homeless people lack. The contrast between his current situation and his circumstances just 2 months ago sometimes feels surreal. The man who now plans festival menus and discusses business expansion strategies is the same person who recently competed desperately for day labor and slept on park benches. The transformation demonstrates how much human potential gets wasted when people lack access to stable housing and reliable income, but it also shows how quickly positive change can occur when the right opportunities arise. Marcus has begun thinking about ways he might eventually help other homeless individuals find similar opportunities to utilize their skills and rebuild their lives. His mechanical abilities proved valuable because Sophia needed those specific services, but many homeless people possess skills that could benefit other businesses if connections could be made. The idea of serving as a bridge between homeless individuals and potential employers represents a long-term goal that gives broader meaning to his personal recovery. The February morning brings news that changes everything about Marcus's understanding of his situation with Sophia. She calls him earlier than usual, her voice carrying an excitement that suggests important developments. When they meet at the food truck, Sophia explains that her festival application has been accepted for a premium location that could provide maximum visibility and customer traffic. More significantly, a local food magazine wants to feature her truck in an article about innovative Portland cuisine, exposure that could transform her business from neighborhood success to citywide recognition. The media attention represents both opportunity and pressure for Sophia's operation. Food critics and magazine photographers will scrutinize every aspect of her service, from food quality to operational efficiency. Success could launch her business to new levels, while failure could damage her reputation in Portland's competitive food scene. Sophia asks Marcus to help ensure that every mechanical and operational detail functions perfectly during the critical period when media attention is focused on her truck. Marcus accepts the additional responsibility with both excitement and anxiety. His mechanical skills and operational knowledge could contribute significantly to Sophia's success, but he's acutely aware that his homeless status could create problems if it becomes known to media representatives. Sophia assures him that his housing situation is irrelevant to his value as a skilled worker, but Marcus worries about becoming a distraction from her business achievements. The festival preparation requires Marcus to work more hours than usual, essentially functioning as Sophia's full-time assistant for equipment maintenance, operational planning, and inventory management. The expanded role provides increased income that brings permanent housing within reach, but it also creates pressure to perform at levels that justify Sophia's trust and investment. Marcus feels the weight of responsibility more acutely than he has since losing his factory job. Sophia's confidence in Marcus's abilities has grown to the point where she seeks his advice on menu planning, equipment purchases, and operational procedures. Their working relationship has evolved into a genuine partnership where Marcus contributes expertise that extends far beyond mechanical maintenance. Sophia values his input because his factory experience with efficiency and quality control translates well to food service operations, and his perspective as someone who understands working within tight financial constraints helps her make practical business decisions. The festival planning sessions take place in Sophia's home kitchen, where Marcus has become a regular presence. Sophia's roommate, a graphic designer named Amy who helps with marketing materials, has grown accustomed to finding them working together on menu development and operational logistics. Amy treats Marcus with the same casual friendliness she shows Sophia's other professional contacts, another small signal that his social integration continues to progress. During one planning session, Sophia mentions that her parents will visit Portland for the festival, their first opportunity to see her food truck operation and meet the people who help make her business successful. She's particularly excited for them to meet Marcus, explaining that she's told them about his mechanical expertise and operational contributions. The prospect of meeting Sophia's parents creates anxiety for Marcus, who worries about representing her business appropriately while obviously homeless. Sophia seems genuinely puzzled by Marcus's concerns about his housing status, suggesting that his personal circumstances are less important to her than his character and competence. Her perspective reflects either exceptional open-mindedness or limited understanding of how most people react to homelessness. Marcus appreciates her acceptance while remaining realistic about potential problems that could arise if other people prove less understanding. The festival equipment requirements necessitate several purchases that Sophia asks Marcus to research and recommend. His factory experience with industrial equipment proves valuable for evaluating commercial food service machinery, and Sophia trusts his judgment about which investments will provide the best long-term value. The responsibility for making recommendations that will affect Sophia's business success feels both flattering and daunting. Marcus's research reveals that Sophia's business has grown to the point where equipment upgrades could significantly increase her capacity and efficiency. A larger generator would provide more reliable power for peak service periods, while additional refrigeration could expand her menu options and reduce daily shopping requirements. The investments represent exactly the kind of calculated business growth that successful entrepreneurs pursue, and Marcus feels privileged to contribute to Sophia's strategic planning. The week before the festival brings intensive preparation that tests every aspect of Sophia's operation. Marcus works alongside her to ensure that all equipment functions perfectly, that inventory systems can handle increased volume, and that service procedures will operate smoothly under pressure. Their partnership has become so seamless that they often communicate through gestures and abbreviated comments, like experienced co-workers who understand each other's working styles completely. Sophia's excitement about the festival is infectious, and Marcus finds himself genuinely invested in her success beyond just his personal employment concerns. Her combination of culinary talent, business intelligence, and genuine kindness represents the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that makes communities stronger. Marcus feels proud to contribute to something meaningful, regardless of his personal circumstances. The evening before the festival, Sophia insists on treating Marcus to dinner at one of Portland's acclaimed restaurants, explaining that successful festival performance will be partly due to his contributions and that celebration is appropriate. The dinner represents Marcus's first restaurant meal since becoming homeless, and the experience reminds him of the social rituals and simple pleasures that stable housing and reliable income make possible. During dinner, Sophia shares more details about her family background and her long-term business goals. Her grandmother's restaurant in San Francisco provided the foundation for her culinary education, while her parents' immigrant work ethic taught her the persistence necessary for entrepreneurial success. The food truck represents her first step toward eventually opening a full restaurant that honors her family's traditions while establishing her own culinary reputation. Marcus finds himself sharing more personal information about his daughter's upcoming wedding and his hopes for rebuilding family relationships damaged by his period of homelessness. Sophia listens with genuine interest and offers to help Marcus find appropriate clothing for the wedding, explaining that his role in her business success makes him family by extension. The offer touches Marcus deeply, representing the kind of support that extends beyond employment into genuine friendship. The conversation reveals that Sophia comes from a family of considerable means, though she's chosen to build her food truck business independently rather than relying on family financial support. Her parents could easily fund restaurant expansion, but Sophia wants to prove herself through her own efforts before accepting family investment. The information surprises Marcus, who had assumed that Sophia's business represented her primary financial resource rather than a personal challenge she'd chosen to pursue. As they prepare to leave the restaurant, Sophia mentions that tomorrow's festival could represent a turning point for her business, potentially leading to opportunities that would require additional staff and expanded operations. She asks Marcus to consider whether he'd be interested in a more formal employment arrangement that could provide stable income and clearly defined responsibilities. The possibility represents exactly the kind of opportunity Marcus has been hoping for, though he's careful not to assume too much about Sophia's future plans. The festival morning arrives with clear skies and temperatures that promise strong attendance. Marcus arrives at the food truck pod before dawn to help Sophia prepare for what could be the most important day in her business history. Their partnership has grown so natural that they work together efficiently, despite the pressure and excitement surrounding the event. Every piece of equipment functions perfectly, every ingredient is properly prepared, and every operational detail has been planned and rehearsed. Sophia's parents arrive just as the festival opens, and Marcus meets them with the nervous excitement of someone whose personal circumstances could complicate an important professional relationship. However, Sophia's father immediately recognizes Marcus's value to his daughter's business, engaging him in technical conversations about equipment and operations that demonstrate genuine respect for his expertise. Sophia's mother expresses gratitude for Marcus's help with her daughter's success, treating him like a valued family friend rather than an employee. The festival service exceeds even Sophia's optimistic expectations. Her booth draws consistent crowds. Food magazine photographers capture images of her innovative dishes, and festival organizers comment on the smooth efficiency of her operation. Marcus works behind the scenes to ensure that equipment functions flawlessly and that operational logistics support Sophia's ability to focus entirely on cooking and customer service. The success culminates when a prominent local restaurateur approaches Sophia about potential partnership opportunities, suggesting that her festival performance has attracted exactly the kind of professional attention she'd hoped to achieve. The conversation takes place while Marcus manages equipment and crowd control, but he can see that Sophia's excitement about the business possibilities is genuine and well-founded. As the festival winds down and they begin cleanup procedures, Sophia's parents invite Marcus to join them for a celebration dinner, explaining that his contributions to their daughter's success make him part of their extended family. The invitation represents another step in Marcus's social rehabilitation, but it also creates anxiety about maintaining appropriate boundaries between his personal circumstances and his professional relationship with Sophia. The celebration dinner takes place at an upscale restaurant where Sophia's parents are clearly regular customers, and Marcus realizes that Sophia's family background includes significantly more wealth than he'd previously understood. The revelation doesn't change his appreciation for Sophia's work ethic and business achievements, but it does provide context for her ability to pursue entrepreneurial risks and her casual attitude toward financial setbacks that might devastate other small business owners. During dinner, Sophia's father mentions that he's been impressed by Marcus's contributions to his daughter's business and asks about his background and career aspirations. Marcus explains his factory experience and his current transition from homelessness toward stable employment, emphasizing his gratitude for Sophia's willingness to recognize his skills despite his circumstances. Sophia's father listens with the attention of someone accustomed to evaluating people's professional potential. The conversation reveals that Sophia's father owns several successful restaurants in San Francisco and has been watching his daughter's Portland venture with both parental pride and professional interest. He mentions that her festival success confirms his belief that she possesses the skills necessary for restaurant ownership, and he begins discussing possibilities for expanding her operation with family support. The discussion excites Sophia, but also seems to make her somewhat uncomfortable, suggesting that accepting family help conflicts with her desire for independent achievement. Marcus listens to the family business discussion, with growing awareness that Sophia's opportunities extend far beyond what he'd previously understood. Her festival success could lead to restaurant partnerships, family investment, or expansion opportunities that might not include continued employment for someone with his background and limitations. The realization creates anxiety about his future prospects while reinforcing his gratitude for the opportunities Sophia has already provided. The revelation comes 3 days after the festival, during what Marcus expects to be a routine maintenance check. Sophia asks him to meet her at an address he doesn't recognize, explaining that she wants to show him something important about her future plans. The location turns out to be a vacant restaurant space in Portland's trendy Hawthorne district, complete with professional kitchen equipment and a dining room that could seat 60 customers. Sophia unlocks the door with obvious excitement, explaining that her father has purchased the building as a surprise investment in her culinary career. Marcus walks through the empty restaurant with growing unease, as Sophia describes renovation plans that would transform the space into her dream establishment. The scope of the investment becomes clear as she mentions budgets for kitchen upgrades, interior design, and staff hiring that exceed what most small business owners could imagine. Her casual references to hiring professional chefs, sommelier services, and marketing consultants reveal a level of family wealth that Marcus had never fully comprehended, despite previous hints. Sophia explains that her father's restaurant empire in San Francisco generates enough revenue to support significant investments and expansion opportunities, and that her festival success has convinced him to accelerate his timeline for supporting her Portland venture. The food truck was always intended as a proving ground rather than a permanent business model, and her demonstrated competence has earned her access to family resources that could establish her as a major player in Portland's restaurant scene almost immediately. The conversation takes place in the restaurant's future dining room, where Sophia spreads architectural plans across a cloth-covered table while describing her vision for combining traditional Italian cuisine with Pacific Northwest ingredients. Her enthusiasm is infectious, but Marcus finds himself focusing more on the implications of her family's wealth than on the culinary possibilities she describes. The woman he's been working with for months isn't just a struggling food truck entrepreneur. She's the daughter of a restaurant dynasty with access to millions of dollars in family capital. Marcus realizes that Sophia's acceptance of his homelessness and her willingness to employ him despite his circumstances take on different meanings when viewed in the context of her privileged background. What he'd interpreted as exceptional open-mindedness might actually reflect the casual generosity of someone who has never experienced genuine financial insecurity. Her trust in his abilities feels less remarkable when he understands that employing him represents no real risk to her personal or financial security. The architectural plans Sophia shows him include detailed specifications for kitchen equipment that costs more than Marcus earned during his entire factory career. She describes her father's willingness to invest whatever amount proves necessary to ensure her restaurant's success, explaining that family pride in culinary excellence justifies expenditures that purely profit-driven investors might consider excessive. The scale of planned investment reveals that Sophia operates in an economic reality completely divorced from Marcus's understanding of business risk and financial constraint. Sophia asks Marcus about his interest in managing the restaurant's maintenance and operational systems, explaining that his proven competence with her food truck equipment makes him an ideal candidate for overseeing the more complex systems a full restaurant requires. The position would provide steady employment with benefits and a salary that could easily support permanent housing and genuine economic stability. However, Marcus finds himself questioning whether the opportunity represents recognition of his abilities or simply Sophia's charitable desire to help someone she's grown fond of. The conversation continues as they walk through the restaurant's kitchen area, where Sophia points out equipment installations that will require ongoing maintenance and operational oversight. Her plans include hiring experienced chefs and servers, but she wants Marcus to handle the behind-the-scenes systems that keep the operation running smoothly. The role would utilize his mechanical and organizational skills while providing the kind of stable employment he's been seeking since losing his factory job. Marcus accepts Sophia's offer with gratitude that feels increasingly complicated by his growing awareness of the economic disparity between them. Working for someone who employs him out of genuine need feels different from working for someone whose family wealth makes his employment essentially an act of charity. The distinction matters to Marcus's sense of dignity and self-worth, even though the practical benefits of stable employment remain the same regardless of Sophia's motivations. Sophia's excitement about the restaurant project includes plans for featuring the story of her food truck success in marketing materials, positioning her business as an authentic local success story rather than a family-funded venture. She asks Marcus about his comfort with being mentioned in publicity materials as part of her team, explaining that his mechanical expertise and operational contributions have been crucial to her achievements. The request creates anxiety for Marcus, who worries that media attention could focus unwanted scrutiny on his homeless background. The publicity concerns prove unnecessary when Sophia explains that her father's public relations team will handle all media interactions, ensuring that coverage focuses on culinary achievements rather than personal stories that might distract from the restaurant's food and service. Marcus realizes that Sophia's family operates with the kind of professional support systems that make business success more predictable and less dependent on individual heroics than he'd previously understood. As they finalize details about Marcus's role in the restaurant operation, Sophia mentions that her father wants to meet with him privately to discuss employment terms and long-term opportunities within the family's restaurant organization. The meeting is scheduled for the following week at Sophia's father's hotel, and Sophia explains that her father's interest in Marcus reflects genuine respect for his contributions to her success rather than mere politeness toward her employee. The meeting with Sophia's father takes place in the penthouse suite of Portland's most expensive hotel, where Marcus finds himself surrounded by luxury that emphasizes the economic distance between his circumstances and the Rossi family's normal environment. Sophia's father, Vincent Rossi, greets Marcus with warmth that seems genuine rather than condescending, though the conversation quickly reveals the full scope of the family's business empire and Marcus's relatively minor role within it. Vincent explains that the Rossi restaurant organization includes 12 establishments across California, with annual revenues exceeding $200 million and employment for more than 800 people. Sophia's Portland venture represents a small experiment in geographic expansion, though her success has convinced the family to consider more significant investments in Pacific Northwest markets. Marcus's role in supporting Sophia's achievements has impressed Vincent enough that he's prepared to offer employment opportunities that extend beyond the single Portland restaurant. The conversation reveals that Vincent has been observing Marcus's work with Sophia through reports and occasional visits to the food truck pod, and that his evaluation of Marcus's potential extends beyond mechanical skills to include leadership qualities and business intelligence. Vincent offers Marcus a management training program that could prepare him for operational oversight responsibilities across multiple restaurant locations, with compensation and benefits that would provide genuine economic security for the first time since his factory career ended. Marcus accepts the opportunity with excitement, tempered by awareness that his success will depend entirely on the continued goodwill of a family whose wealth and influence dwarf anything in his previous experience. The prospect of stable employment and professional advancement feels almost too good to believe, though Vincent's business-like approach to the discussion suggests that the offer reflects practical assessment of Marcus's value rather than charitable impulses. The training program begins immediately, with Marcus spending mornings working with Sophia on her restaurant preparations and afternoons studying restaurant management principles under the guidance of experienced Rossi organization managers. The curriculum includes financial management, staff supervision, inventory control, and customer service standards that reflect the family's commitment to excellence across all their establishments. Marcus approaches the coursework with the same methodical precision that made him valuable at the electronics factory and with Sophia's food truck. Sophia's restaurant opening is scheduled for late spring, and Marcus's role in the preparation involves coordinating with contractors, overseeing equipment installation, and developing operational procedures that will ensure smooth service from opening day. The work utilizes his mechanical and organizational skills while teaching him aspects of restaurant management that could prepare him for increased responsibilities within the Rossi organization. The transformation in Marcus's circumstances over the course of 4 months feels remarkable enough that he sometimes struggles to believe it's real. The man who began the year sleeping on park benches and competing for day labor now manages equipment installations worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and participates in business planning sessions for a restaurant that could employ dozens of people. The change demonstrates how quickly life can improve when skills meet opportunity and hard work meets generous support. Marcus uses his improved income to secure permanent housing for the first time since losing his factory job, renting a small apartment that provides privacy, security, and the basic dignity that stable housing represents. The apartment is modest by most standards, but to Marcus it feels luxurious after months of sleeping outdoors and in shelters. Having a permanent address also enables him to reconnect with his daughter more regularly and to begin planning his participation in her wedding with confidence that he'll be appropriately housed and employed by summer. The restaurant's opening night arrives with media coverage that positions Sophia as a rising star in Portland's culinary scene, though the reviews carefully avoid mentioning her family's restaurant empire or the extent of financial support that made her rapid success possible. Marcus works behind the scenes to ensure that all systems function flawlessly, while Sophia manages kitchen operations and customer service with the confidence of someone who knows that failure isn't a financial catastrophe. The opening proves successful beyond Sophia's expectations, with reservations booked solid for the first month and food critics praising both her innovative menu and the restaurant's efficient service. Marcus's operational systems work exactly as planned, and Vincent Rossi expresses satisfaction with both his daughter's culinary achievements and Marcus's contributions to the restaurant's smooth launch. 6 months after repairing Sophia's broken food truck, Marcus stands in the restaurant's kitchen during a busy Saturday evening service, supervising equipment operations while Sophia coordinates cooking activities with her professional chef staff. The partnership that began with a simple mechanical repair has evolved into a professional relationship that provides Marcus with stability, purpose, and genuine respect for his contributions to something meaningful. The wedding invitation arrives on a Tuesday morning, elegantly printed on cream-colored paper that reflects his daughter's taste and her fiancé's family's attention to formal details. Marcus reads the invitation while sitting in his own kitchen, drinking coffee in his own apartment, preparing to leave for his job managing operations at a successful restaurant. The man who receives this invitation bears little resemblance to the homeless person who slept on park benches just months earlier. The wedding takes place on a perfect June Saturday, with Marcus walking his daughter down the aisle wearing a suit that Sophia helped him select and carrying himself with the confidence of someone who has reclaimed his place in the world. His daughter's happiness at having her father present and appropriately situated fills Marcus with pride that extends beyond his personal recovery to include gratitude for the people who helped make this moment possible. Vincent Rossi attends the wedding as Marcus's guest, having developed genuine respect for the man whose mechanical skills and work ethic helped launch his daughter's Portland success. The conversation during the reception includes discussion of Marcus's potential for increased responsibilities within the restaurant organization and possibilities for advancement that could provide long-term career security. As the evening winds down and Marcus reflects on the journey from homelessness to stability, he thinks about the broken food truck that changed everything about his future. Sophia's willingness to trust a homeless stranger with mechanical repairs created opportunities that transformed not just his circumstances, but his understanding of human potential and the importance of seeing past surface appearances to recognize underlying value. The restaurant continues to thrive under Sophia's culinary leadership and Marcus's operational management, becoming one of Portland's most popular dining destinations, while serving as a model for the Rossi family's potential expansion into new markets. Marcus's role in its success has established his reputation within the organization and positioned him for continued advancement based on merit rather than charity. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen, If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.